The nations across the world want to show their power, and what better way to do this than with nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are the ultimate defense guarantor of a nation. It's a deterrent against any and all kinds of potential adversaries and threats, and also the most dangerous weapon that mankind has come up with so far. Now, there are, as we speak, at least about 9 nations which have nuclear weapons capabilities. But for Ukraine, which at one point of time had nuclear weapons on its territory, it does not hold true anymore. Let's actually tell you about what happened to the nuclear weapons that Ukraine had at its disposal in the early years of the 90s. 3 decades ago, the newly independent nation of Ukraine was briefly the 3rd largest nuclear power in the world. This was in the aftermath of the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. Thousands of nuclear arms had been left on Ukrainian soil by Moscow, and there were about 5,000 nuclear arms, long-range missiles that carried up to 10 thermonuclear warheads in secret underground locations. Ukraine seemed to have it all, but in the years that followed, Ukraine made the decision to completely denuclearize. So why is it that Ukraine's leadership decided to, in fact, abandon its nuclear weapons? Kiev took that decision in exchange for signed guarantees by the superpowers of the world, who said that they would ensure its future security. The safety of Ukraine would be ensured by the United States, the United Kingdom, and Russia. In a 1994 agreement that was known as the Budapest Memorandum, and now that agreement is front and center again, with Ukraine being swarmed by heavily armed invading Russian troops, bristling with weapons and little prospect of defense from its erstwhile friends abroad. The decision to give up its nuclear weapons in 2023 looks like a pretty bad one. The former American President Bill Clinton, in an interview with the Irish news agency, said that he regrets pressurizing Ukraine to give up its nuclear arsenal in high-stakes negotiations that took place in 1994. The United States, in fact, helped broker the Budapest Memorandum with former Russian President Boris Yeltsin and the former Ukrainian President Leonid Kravchuk with the intention of getting rid of nuclear weapons that were still stationed on Ukraine's territory after the fall of the Soviet Union. The United States also negotiated agreements for Russia to respect Ukraine's sovereignty and its borders, which Clinton said was short-sighted in retrospect. Now, specifically in 2014, remember, Russia had violated its promise that it would not challenge Ukraine's borders after the invasion of Crimea. But remember, the Russians say the reason why they went into Crimea and decided to take over the peninsula was because of a coup that was orchestrated by the Americans to bring about a regime change in Kiev. And now, looking back at the decision that was taken by the Ukrainians in the 1990s, the decision taken by Ukraine might have been the right call. Or at least that is what it looked like back in the early 90s. It reduced the overall number of nuclear weapons in the world, which made everyone safer. But since Russia began its invasion of Ukraine, the 1994 Budapest Memorandum seems as if nations that sacrifice their nuclear deterrence in exchange for promises of goodwill are in fact signing their own death. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.